Good evening. Welcome. Call to order this regular meeting of the Jefferson County Board of Education. It's good to see all of you here tonight. I know we're going to have many issues to discuss. It's always great to have some recognitions. And while certainly there's a lot going on in the state related to education, we are also very, very mindful of tragic incident that happened at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School last week in Florida. Every member of this board, frankly, it is our worst nightmare. It is what keeps us awake at night. And we would just ask that you join us in a moment of silence for the victims and families of that tragedy. Thank you. And now, Mr. Sykes, we'd love to call this meeting to order.
Dr. Gibson, Board of Ed. I bring Travis Long here with me tonight. He's an 8th grade student, and he's a success story. He struggled to get it together his 6th and 7th grade year, to say the least. He struggled with being a high flyer in the office, his academics, but somehow the light went on. And this is why I asked him to be here, and my admin team agreed when I was tasked to find someone to bring. He's done a complete 180. He joined the football team. He joined the wrestling team, finished second in the state, and he had never played youth football in his life or wrestled. And that's a big deal to me. I'm a coach in athletics, and he never played athletics up until the 8th grade. He's also the FFA vice president. He's courteous, respectful, and we are very proud of his turnaround, his accomplishments. This is one of the reasons we're in education. We get struggling kids, and this guy's turned it around. I'm very proud of it.
To join us for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Good luck. Okay. Okay, we have some recognitions this evening.
We certainly do. Beginning with Mr. Hildick.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in times of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy." Joel is only in 5th grade, so he's not yet considered a man by most standards, but I'm going to tell you about some manly things he did. Joel made a mistake at school. Joel came to me and was very honest about his mistake. I asked him to talk to his mom, which he did. He was very honest with his mom, and he came up with a solution to help the school out after his mistake. The teachers and I at C.W. Shipley are always telling the kids it's not about your mistake, it's about what you do after your mistake to fix it. And Joel handled himself perfectly with his mistake, and we were very proud of him. So good job, Joel. Go behind. All right, we're gonna go behind.
Hey, Joel, come over here. You're a 5th grader? Awesome.
Congratulations.
All right. Here. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Great. Thanks.
All right, young man.
Next we have Mr. Walter. He's an outstanding student from Wright Denny.
I'm pleased to recognize Jordan Schneider for Wright Denny's Outstanding Student Award. Jordan's hard work and dedication in the classroom, also with her passion of competition in equestrian, has been well noted since, I guess, really since this past summer. This past summer, Jordan received an overall competition of reserve champion and overall champion at Sandstone Farm, and she was named Best Rider of the Year at Elmington Farm. Most recently, in November, she was rewarded and received a 2017 Sandy Gerald Memorial Scholarship. So we'd like to recognize Jordan Schneider.
Come stand right up there. I like that, right in front.
All right. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Great. Good job.
All right.
Chris, will you grab
Next person.
yes, Tim, sites for the Charlestown Middle School student? Mr. Wilk, okay. We'll come back to him. Jefferson High is Miss, can you grab Miss Ross? Hey, oh, you got mad skills, Miss Ross. Oh, Miss Fitzgerald, sorry.
Fitzgerald,
Am I all
yes.
The Spirit of Jefferson.
No, for your Outstanding Student Awards.
Alexis Holmes.
Okay, well that's exciting. Sorry, Alexis, nobody told me. I didn't know either. Surprise!
Well, Alexis, tell us about yourself.
I'm Alexis Holmes. I'm a junior at Jefferson. I'm in HISTA. I'm the honorary fire chief at Shepherdstown Fire Department. I'm in National Honor Society. I dance in the dance program at Jefferson.
You sound like an outstanding student.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, good job.
How those college apps coming?
Staying close to home, right, Mom?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for being such a great student. Okay.
And Chance Mays.
I don't see Chance on mine. Do you see Chance on
I
here?
do know Chance Manus though, because he has just been accepted to my alma mater.
Oh, really? Tosin?
No,
Oh, there it is.
University of North
Thank you.
Carolina Wilmington for my undergrad.
OT.
Poti?
Anya Cote.
See, they're out of class for a day and they lose their train of thought.
Okay. So then we can move to our Jefferson Arts Council Teaching Arts Creatively Grant. I believe, is Miss Chesley here to
Yep. Speak on that.
There's Miss Chesley.
There you go.
Miss Chesley.
We are cohorts in the crime of the Jefferson Arts Council.
Yes, you are.
Teaching arts
And we're the
creatively.
better for it. Thank you.
Yes, it's growing, which is what our plan was. It's growing because the teachers are writing the grants and they're taking it seriously and they're bringing in artists and the grants are they're just amazing what's coming forth. So I'm very proud of all of the teachers that take the time out of their busy, busy schedule to do something more and give the kids even more.
We had 15 grants this year, and 10 of them brought artists into the classroom. So that was our goal, to bring outsiders in and teach the teacher and the students. So that happened this year. We're real proud of that. And they're working on their grants now, and then they'll have their culminating activities in the spring.
And the other thing, just to add to that, is we're not asking art teachers only to bring in artists. We're asking all content teachers. And we got...
Special education?
Yeah, that's so we're getting a physical ed teacher.
We had a special education teacher who's doing writing books. A special education teacher is working with third graders at South Jefferson. We had a lot of music teachers again, and
so we're just pushing it every year. It gets pushed some more with workshops that the teachers attend, and we're proud, very, very proud of them.
we also are sponsoring the Youth Art Month Gallery Show, which is in March, and I'll be hanging that show this Wednesday, and I have an invitation to the reception for you, and it is for all the Jefferson Arts teachers and the Canada public teachers. So I'll just leave that in the packets.
So do you want us to... Ooh. The first one's so hard. Roshan Chen. Tammy Kidweiler.
Rashawn is from North Jefferson. Tammy is from North Jefferson.
Tia Nugent. Emily Cumberland.
Emily's here.
Sarah Deanna.
Chris Atkins.
He's our phys ed teacher.
He's doing sports journalism.
Beth Manzu.
Circle around.
She's our special ed teacher. Pam Shear. Music.
Allison Marie. Katie McKinnon. Here. Laura Miller. Laura Miller's grant went up to the big guns in Charleston. James Miller. Sam Nelson. Laura Blackholder.
You need to go with this.
You have to go here, Sam. I don't want to tie your Oh, sorry. Good job.
One, two, three. That's good.
Thank you all so much. You know, we see your fingerprints all over the county at the Jefferson Arts Council, and it's a pleasure to see.
We're going to make a big splash in Charlestown very soon.
I know you are.
With the
Can't
mural.
wait. Yes,
So come join and have fun.
Yeah.
we will.
Everybody's welcome.
All right.
Okay, now what are we doing?
Charlestown Middle had one with Tim Sites. I don't know.
Mr. Seitz, does he have?
So even though it seems that Mr. Seitz may have stepped out, we would like to go ahead and still recognize William Wilt.
William, you get to tell us about yourself.
See, I'm in 6th grade at Charlestown Middle School. In 5th grade at South Jefferson, I won top boy scholar for my at South Jefferson Elementary. And in 6th grade, I'm on the JV basketball team for Charlestown. I also play baseball, and always average 4.0 and never drop below.
What's your favorite class?
Favorite class would probably be math.
Yeah, awesome. Great. Yeah, good job.
1, 2, 3. Great.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Okay. The services.
Adam Shibley.
Mr. Shively's here. I saw him earlier.
I haven't seen him.
Could,
There he is.
come up. Actually, I'll do this for myself. Thank you. Okay, so I know that some of you may be familiar with this concept that sometimes you have to do things in the short term that might cause a little pain, but you do them anyway because you know they're the right thing to do, and long term, you know you'll be better off for it. We seem to have a lot of people across the state who are doing that right now. And so about a year ago, Mr. Shively had that same choice. He had that same dilemma. And he stepped up when we were searching for a future home for growth, for expansion in Jefferson. He very generously and quietly offered his services free of charge to us. And he spent his a lot of time and energy as we went through a lot of different reviews and transactions and deals that were supposed to work out and never did. And he was a trooper through the entire process and forewent a pretty sizable, what would have been probably a 5-figure commission, because he believed it was the right thing to do to invest in this community, invest in his children's future and all of our children's future by making sure that we had room for them to grow in the future. And we just wanted to say a huge thank you to Mr. Shively and to the services that he rendered to the
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. We go to the same barber.
1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you. And the representative from Mike Brill's office is here.
Bristol?
Yes. Did Crystal come?
Bristol.
Bristol Belmont.
Bristol?
No. Well, and here's how persuasive Mr. Shively can be. He talked about his passion for this project with the attorney, Mike Brill, in his office, and they also, during this transaction, and I say this because there happens to be other attorneys in the room, they rarely offer their services free of charge, but Mr. Brill did the same. He donated all of his legal services for us to procure this land for Jefferson's future students free of charge, all of the closing, all the legal costs. So we deeply appreciate, we know that we have a responsibility to take care of this community, and this community takes care of us. It is a mutual symbiotic relationship, and we want to thank him, and we'll make sure that he and his staff get this, and thank you, sir. So yeah, you'll see.
That was significant savings to the community. Thank you. We have
Miss Fitzgerald.
Oh, we're not done yet?
The spirit of Jefferson.
Same person, new name?
Yeah, exactly. See, I try not to make the same mistakes over and over.
That is quite all right. I can answer to both, absolutely. It gives me great pleasure to present to you Michael Walters. He was nominated by a parent, and I'd like to share what this parent had to say, because I think it really does quite capture it all. Best teacher at Jefferson High School, a hard teacher who pushes the kids and prepares them for college lectures and grading. Both my high school boys have or have had Mr. Walters for AP and honors history classes. One of my boys boys is a senior and one a freshman, and they both profess that he is hands down their favorite teacher at Jefferson High School. Mr. Walters stays late after school voluntarily to help prepare the kids for the AP exam. In the spring, he goes above and beyond what is required to ensure the kids learn. Please recognize him for being the best. And Mr. Walters certainly is a fabulous addition here at Jefferson High School. He is recognized by staff and students alike, and parents who always have most complimentary things to say. So it gives me great pleasure to present you with the Spirit of Jefferson Award, Mr. Walters.
Sorry.
1, 2, 3.
I have some inside knowledge about how good you are. Thank you.
And one of our very rare student nominations for a Spirit of Jefferson Award, so with pride, sir. Well done. Well done. Next up, we have Miss Martin and T.A. Lowry. She was here. I'm sure she's in the house here somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening. It is with great honor to have Miss Barbara Scott receive the Spirit of Jefferson Award. Whether you know her as Miss Barbie or Lady or Squirt, she is Miss Barbie to us at T.A. Lowry. She has been with Jefferson County Schools since 1987. She is our preschool special needs aide, and those kids love her, and she loves them. She loves those children like they are her own. They come to school. They love Miss Barbie. She can take any child who's crying, and she will sing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star." She will sing anything to them, and they will stop. It's magic. They love her, and I love you. I appreciate you. Miss Barbie helps with every school event that goes on. She's very, very involved and very, very deserving.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you too. Thank you.
Tell Mother Ash she can't breathe. She want me on the spot.
Thank you.
Very deserving.
1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Are there...
That's all the recognition.
Okay. Thank you for those recognitions. As we have, this modest opportunity to recognize teachers and service personnel and see the students and their academic achievement, we are reminded of the great commitment that these men and women show to the education of our students, regardless of how well they're compensated. And we understand that they deserve and need more, and so it's just a real pleasure to see the level of commitment they have to education in our community. Madam Superintendent?
Oh, no, sir. I think I've said a lot in the last couple of weeks.
Approval of minutes. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Any clarifications, questions? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Citizens' comments. We welcome citizens' comments. We do ask you to limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and we invite you to stand at the dais. And it's our pleasure to invite Linnea, is she still on the phone? Jessica and Terry.
She went to get her.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, there you are.
Right here.
Great. Well,
Oh, okay. What we'd like to do, first of all, my name's Terry Young. I'm president of School Service Personnel Association.
I'm Linnea Atkinson. I'm the president of Jefferson County American Federation of Teachers.
Jessica Tbergen, president of Jefferson County Education Association.
What we'd like to do is to thank the community, the board members, the superintendent for their support on this trying time that we've had. We are so grateful for everybody and that has stand with us on this issue that we're trying to do. We're 55 strong, and we don't take this lightly. We do take this very seriously because we do miss our children in the schools, and hopefully with all the support that we've had, we'll get back soon.
Let's hope so. Thank you. We've had very generous outpouring of support from the community, individual families that I can't name all of them, but the Rodriguez family from Ranson Elementary School has been amazingly supportive above and beyond. They have brought us coolers, large coolers of beverages and fruit and sandwiches and water. Just absolutely amazing. And other families have brought coffee, and businesses have brought pizza, and we want to thank and water, and we want to thank Peterson Enterprises for offering meals to our children at all the Dairy Queens in the area, the Parks and Recs that are opening for childcare, and this is, I think, above and beyond anything we could have ever imagined, that this community is coming together to support the teachers, the service personnel, and especially our children. And that is what makes Jefferson County so great. And I'm very proud to be a member of this community. Thank you.
Want to say anything? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Arthena Roper.
Okay. Some people wanted to hear this. On yesterday, the Jefferson County branch of the NAACP hosted their annual Soul Food Tasting and Black History program. This year's speaker was a young Mr. Togans, all of 11 years old. In the past, our students attended the program as a group through the Jefferson County Schools Cultural Diversity Program. Last year, through the Jefferson County Schools Cultural Diversity Program, we were able to collaborate with civic groups to sponsor over 100 students to be transported and attend the inspirational film Hidden Figures. A similar opportunity presented itself this year to sponsor students to see Marvel, the movie, the Black Panther movie. I asked in writing, and now I'm asking for the second time, please, will Jefferson County School Board of Education please reinstate 2 programs that benefit culturally diverse students and families? First, culturally diverse account of $10,249.63, which has been frozen since May 2017. Without access to these private funds this year, culturally diverse students have not been able to participate in programs such as a college tour, mock interviews, financial literacy workshop, AP preparation session, and the Black History programs, just to name a few. Second, will you reinstate the pre-K program at Ranson Elementary School? As you know, Ranson Elementary is the only walking school in the county. I remember last year when the teacher's aide came and presented enrollment numbers to you. She was correct. Ranson has the fewest students it's had in a decade. And just a reminder that access to early literacy in low-income communities is paramount. Neither of these requests will cost the school system any additional money. Please consider the benefits to students and families of unfreezing the cultural diversity funds and putting pre-K back in Ranson Elementary School. Spring is the time parents begin registering for pre-kindergarten. It would be great if the Ranson location would be a known offering. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Paul Harmon.
I'll make this quick. Name's Paul Harmon, U.S. Army Staff Sergeant retired. I know you guys don't have the money for it this year, but I'm willing to volunteer as a resource officer after I go through a class through the police. Get taught the rules of engagement by the police. I will buy my own body armor. I have a long rifle and I have a pistol, and I have no problem. There are several vets that you could get to do this. We have the training. I did 2 combat tours in Iraq. So I'm making myself available. I don't know what your policies are. I don't know what your laws are, but I can shoot, and it wouldn't be the first time I ran towards gunfire. So,
Thank you, Mr. Harmon. Thank you for your service. Good to see you again. That concludes citizens' comments? Okay, consent agenda.
You'll note that there are 2 changes on the consent agenda. One data.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said you will note there are 2 changes on the consent agenda.
Thank you.
One of them is a change of retirement date from 7/1/2018 to 6/30/2018, and that the employee notified us of that change because it benefits them in terms of their retirement date. And another one is a change from an appointment to a resignation for the head basketball coach at Washington High School.
Okay.
They're all noted.
Yeah. Do we have a motion to consider the consent agenda?
So moved.
And a second? Mr. Cable? Okay, we have a motion and a second, and Ms. Skinner?
Before you take a vote, I need to recuse myself because I am personally listed on the consent agenda as an approved driver for the Middle School History Bowl, which hopefully will take place this Friday, but just in case, I can't vote for myself, so I need to
Absolutely.
recuse myself.
Any questions on the consent agenda? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. I think it was Ms. Ogden who approved you. Just saying.
It's an extra 20 in it for you.
I believe she's driven with you before, and so we asked her.
Well, I've driven with you, so.
Which is why your name's not on the list.
Okay, unfinished business.
On unfinished business, I would request to the board that we withdraw this item. We want to have an opportunity for everyone when school is in session and our staff are here and can review policy revisions. So we haven't put those back out because we don't ask people to work when they're not working, and it's nothing that we're time delineated on. So we're going to just hold this, and we won't bring it back until people have had several weeks back in session, back at work, to be able to review it and give us feedback.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to withdraw this from action at this time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. And this was already, is this one that we'd already, okay, yeah. New business.
This is to put the policy out for public comment that, in essence, this is simply the policy change to move to the 10-point grading scale for the 2018-2019 school year. That was among the changes that the state board made for policy 2510. It's simply so that we can hurry, make sure that that notice gets out to individuals so that they see it. It's nothing that is controversial, and in terms of any credit-bearing course beginning July 1, 2018, the board is required to use the 10-point grading scale. We already use the 10-point grading scale at elementary. The recommendation has been that 10-point grading scale, so that we have consistency across elementary, middle, and high school, also move to the 10-point grading scale. So we'd like to put that out for public comment and review. Folks have plenty of time to look at it.
But this does not, at one time they were talking about it was just going to go in for their, and everybody that was already on the other one, it wasn't going to change, but they changed that, did they not? Everybody's going to be on the same scale.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bless you.
And how will that work with summer school?
That is a fantastic question. This year's summer school, those students will be on the old grading scale. Summer school is they are gaining credits back. They are gaining credits that are attached to this school year, so they'll be on the old grading scale, and it starts in this school year. Next summer, they'll be on the new grading scale because they'll be attached to the new 18-19 years grading scale.
Now, if you are taking a summer school class, but it is for gym, to attain a high school gym credit, are we still going to grade them on the old scale?
Currently, we're still going to grade them on the old scale because those credits are going to accrue to the 17-18 school year.
Okay.
We sat down and met with our guidance counselors from both high schools, a set of teachers, and both high school principals.
Can we get a motion to consider?
Sure.
Have questions?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, continue.
Sorry. Thank you.
That's okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, that would be my only thought as we look at this, that we might want to think about that, because I'm thinking that child's taking it as summer school, but it's for the next year, because they can't really accumulate that credit till freshman year, but I know I had a in between. I mean, that's going to be quite annoying and a nightmare, and but it may affect, it doesn't affect the promise, because doesn't count. To me, it's not part of that, so that part is good, and that makes sense, but we just might want to look at it.
I certainly expect there to be some public comment.
Other questions? So as I, peruse this, it has dropout prevention, curriculum, summer program, homeschool instruction. Am I looking at the wrong one?
That's just the section. The only thing that's changing in that Chapter 7 is the grading scale.
It's the grading. That's what I was going to ask.
Yes,
None of
sir.
this is new or different.
No, sir, it should not be.
Everything in red, which is only the graded part. Just go to where they
Page
have all the
13,
grading
let's see
scales.
something on page 13 if you...
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. So typically we would put this out for 2 weeks.
Yes, sir, at least, but we have plenty of time. That's
And
what we're trying to,
given,
yes, sir.
So we need to get it out, but the sense is we have more imminent issues than this.
We do.
Okay.
But still, it's necessary
Right.
to get it changed.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. School calendar?
School calendar adjustments, sir, on the basis of, as of tomorrow, we will have closed school for a total of 4 days, consecutive days, for student safety meaning that we do not have the personnel present to safely supervise our student body. Currently, West Virginia code requires that we make those days up. We are not legally allowed to use OS days for a work stoppage. Thus, the board has to designate those days. The choice, as it's placed into our calendar now, or we have Good Friday, we have spring break, your own sort of rules of engagement about using those. And then the school days at the end of the school year, May the 31st, June 1st, June 4th, and June 5th.
And would you anticipate this as a discussion item tonight, or is this something that we should take some action on tonight?
It is something that we anticipate you taking action on tonight, because you have to designate what those days are. Now, there is a good... I personally cannot predict the behavior of the state, obviously, but the longer that this situation continues, the requests from county superintendents when we've had our state meetings has been, you need to grant us some sort of injunctive relief regarding how many of these days we have to make up. We are going to run into a situation at some point where we don't have time at the end of the year in our calendar to make all of these days up, and we're running into people's summer schedules. Our attendance rates are going to plummet. We understand teachers making them up and service personnel making them up. If you're going to get paid, you need to do the work, and our staff understand that. But there are individuals who feel like children are being forced to make things up that aren't their choice. However, we would have to be granted some sort of waiver from the state. We have not yet been granted that. I think they're waiting to see how long this is going to go, and then there will be some sort of fiat issued at the state level about how those days at the end are going to be dealt with.
How about the ruling that talks about we can use accrued minutes for makeup days?
Bank time.
We cannot use bank time?
Not for
legally?
work stoppage. Not currently legally. We cannot. That has been the request. I've made that request. Mr. Ivan's made that request. Mr. Devon has made that request, because our school day is in such excess of what the bare minimum is for the state. If we took every single minute that we banked, we went ahead and calculated ours, preparing our argument. We have 32 full days of bank time as a school system. West Virginia's minimum school day is quite minimal indeed, to tell you the truth. So we exceed that to such an extent that we have 32 days.
I don't know how they get it all done. I guess that reflects the schools.
So our teachers get paid even less than the other teachers around the state. Because we're in longer.
Argument for you.
That is quite an argument, yes, sir.
Have these 4 days officially been classified as work stoppage days, though, since we technically closed the schools?
For student safety.
Right, and the website said snow day last week, and then these 2 days are for student safety. So I understand that if it's a work stoppage, people don't show up for work, we have to cancel school, then it's work stoppage.
Right.
These past 4 days, are they technically work stoppage where we can't use minutes since it's kind of a gray area?
That has been the ruling from the state thus far. At the last state superintendent's meeting last Saturday, Dr. Payne called all of the county superintendents, summoned us to Charleston, and we dutifully went. And it was made quite clear to us that the state would not appreciate attempts to circumvent West Virginia law by not classifying them as work stoppage. We were told point blank we were not to use OS days. However, they did also note if local school boards chose to thwart that, I don't know that they necessarily
have, they're dealing with this on their feet just as we are. So I don't know what their remedy is if someone then violates that. What's the penalty? What are you gonna do to us? Close schools? I mean, at this point. So that's been sort of a question.
Or I understand the theory that, the teachers and service personnel have been paid for these 4 days, so they need to make up the 4 days. Now, if we have school Monday and Tuesday, June 4th and 5th, and we have 6 kids show up in every class because parents typically don't enforce their children to go to school at the end of the year when we add days. We know that for a fact. That's not going to be very productive for the children. It's not going to be very productive for our staff. It's just going to be wasted days. Is it possible to ask for a waiver type thing where we turn those days into professional development days for our staff, where the staff are doing something actually very productive, but it's not so-called penalizing the students and the families so that they don't have to attend school those days? Their last day is the last day. Depending on how long this goes.
Yes, ma'am. We did submit that request to the state attorney's office and have not had a response. We submitted it in writing last week.
Okay.
So is it possible today for us to look at changing the 2 days that make it into the full week and not addressing the other days until we figure out exactly how long this is going to go? Or do we have to address all the days right now?
And again, if you choose not to address them, you're giving. It is the will of this board what you choose to make a determination on. But those 2 days, as of right now, under West Virginia Code, have to be made up, and you can either designate them or leave people wondering as to what will happen. Your only choice, you're either designating them right now that they say that they're going to happen on Good Friday or spring break, or they're going to happen consecutively at the end of the year. Those are your only choices in terms of designated days. Now, you may decide as a board, and you may not be ready to make a determination about that yet, that you will take a different interpretation of the law than the state's attorney has and designate those as staff development days and see what the consequences of that are. If you'd like to delay this decision until you get guidance from the state attorney general's office, you may certainly do so. This was intended to provide guidance and information to parents because it's the board's responsibility to designate which of the makeup days get used.
And we can change that at a later time if
you sure
goes
can.
on.
There is nothing that precludes you from changing it.
Can we just at this point say they'll be added to the end of the school year and we won't take away spring break? Or, because that's really the important thing
at this point.
Certainly.
Right?
Certainly. You certainly may.
And I can't get any of my apps to work. So what is the last day of school right now?
Right now it would be June the 5th based on the new schedule.
Old schedule is May 30th.
Old schedule is May 30th, yes.
So, does anyone want to consider spring break or Good Friday?
Not me.
Not I. Get under the table if you do.
Not me.
Yeah.
Maybe more of that body armor.
Just I have to ask the question. So really, at this stage, at juncture, it's a question of how many days and what type of days they're going to be at the end of the calendar.
Yes, sir.
Whether they're instruction or something else.
Yes, sir.
So does this require any action from us at this point?
I think at this point, if the board would take a vote that you voted not to utilize Good Friday and spring break as makeup days, that would resolve the issue because the only other remaining ones are at the end of the year, and then they would move forward from there.
Okay. We entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
My job to find something you can all get behind. There you go. Spring break,
Well
something
done.
we can all get behind together.
Okay, what do we have next?
We have an executive session for personnel and for land, and I do anticipate action out of the executive session.
Okay. We also have on the agenda superintendent evaluation. And as I read the West Virginia policy, it does require us to meet with you in executive session to discuss that, which we will certainly do. And then we would, when we return to public session, we would, issue publicly at least the summary of that evaluation, and so we would intend to do that this evening as well. Before we entertain a motion to turn to executive session, comments from colleagues on the board?
We had a RESA meeting on February 22nd, and a couple of the high points of discussion were Shannon Johnson, who does the substitute teacher training, is very concerned. That usually brings in about $40,000 to our RESA. That's a 2-day face-to-face training. The West Virginia Department of Education, in their infinite wisdom, is doing a 20-day online training that is free. So we don't know what this is going to do to our RESA training. Also, special education funds that did go to RESA, about $250,000 will be split and sent to the counties. There was a bit of concern about that. Not sure how we can use those funds at this time, but the West Virginia Department of Ed is defining how we can use them and whether we can put some of those back in RESA to keep Wendy Lochner, who does a lot of in-services, very good in-services throughout the region. Also, we will have a resolution that we need to adopt on our agenda. Right now, till June 30th, we are RESA, and we have to uphold a resolution that on July 1, that EPIC would get the assets transferred to them and it would accept them from RESA. So we are still a RESA till June 30th, and on July 1, we become a cooperative.
I just have a comment. I know we've gotten several different kinds of students, some who've spoken at the board meeting, some who've emailed regarding the issue of the stoles and pins and all the regalia for graduation. And I just want to make a comment that for me personally, I feel like we have two different sides of the argument, which I'm fine with. But having been a part of graduation since 2011, actually 2009, so 6 of the last 9 years, and actually being in attendance and seeing the kids and all their splendor, and then we're trying to make it fair, make it right, make it the same, but it's not the same. And I feel as though because Key Club, and there are others in my opinion, was so involved with Mr. Knott, Bernie Knott, who we just lost, and he and his wife started that program. It's been an extremely important program, not just at Jefferson, but across this entire county. I personally have zero problem with kids showing that stole. I feel like a pin doesn't do it, in my opinion. And I understand that we want to have some sameness, but if I'm a kid who does not have a good GPA, I'm not involved in some other kind of academic club, I feel as though if you are involved in a school-sponsored activity, you should have the right to wear what you want to wear that goes along with that activity, not a GPA requirement. I think it disenfranchises children who are not as academically overachievers as others, but they still give just as much a part to that school and that community, and they deserve to be recognized for, frankly, even donating blood. That's a big deal for a lot of kids, and they should be able to wear that red blood cord if they donate it. It's a school-sponsored activity. They deserve it. And I feel like that's the very last day that we have any control over a student, and we have no control over them. And if they're strong enough and independent enough to go out in the world on their own tomorrow, then today we need to recognize them. And I feel very, very strongly about that. I don't know what we're going to do about it, but in my opinion, I think that we need to revisit that.
Okay.
I don't care that they have beach balls. I don't want that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but their recognition, I think, is important.
Okay, thank you. Others? Well, let me just add, obviously, the elephant in the room is the current status or lack of status of instruction. And we know that while this is certainly it's a disruption, it's a burden to our parents and to our students, but we also understand it is important. And that this board, we appreciate again our representatives from our teachers and our service personnel. You've had to take a very tough stand. We are with you. We have been grateful for the community support and engagement. It's been overwhelming. My diet was ruined at every rally stop over the last several days, but thanks to everyone in the community that has just had such an outpouring of support. You deserve a living wage, and you deserve to have your health care addressed. It's gone way too long. As we've discussed, many of us are, we're talking to members of the state legislature. We know you are, trying to urge everyone to find some common ground just as quickly as you can, because we know that you want to be in the classroom, and we'd like for you to be as well, but we're with you. So we'll entertain a motion to retire to executive session for consideration of personnel and land.
So moved.
Second. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll take a 4-minute break.